Attention everybody, the views expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. So without any further ado, here's the man with the plan to put gold in your hand, Mr. Tony Hammock. Take it away, Tony.
Well, thank you, Matt, and audience. How's everybody doing out there in Acts Ministry land? Hopefully good on this great Wednesday morning. It's a little cloudy out. I think there's some rain in the forecast here, but you can't wait for the storm to be over. You got to learn to dance in the rain, right? That's what they say.
Dance in the rain.
It's going to be one of those days. Oh, my goodness. So, anyway, well, gosh, just like the last couple of months, this week since last Wednesday, there's just been all kinds of stuff going on out there. I mean, oil was trading below zero the other day, if you can believe that. I've never seen that in my lifetime. I think it's the first time ever that oil has been in negative territory, if you can believe it. So that was definitely newsworthy. And gold and silver are going up, and the market's, up 2% one day and down 3% the next and stuff. So hopefully some of the stuff we cover on some of these alternative assets and things will be of help to someone out there and so forth. One thing I kind of wanted to talk about just real quick before I forget. In negative territory, if you can believe it.
Sorry about that. Well, what I did was I've got this working now, so... Super professional here.
Going up, and the market's,
Come on.
up to.
There we go.
Okay, so everybody's looking at all these little stimulation checks and the different things they're doing with the tax code. And back in December they had the CARES Act that came out, which kind of changed a few things for folks. I mean, if you're a person that's over 70 and a half, you don't have to file RMDs this year, required minimum distributions, and they shortened the amount of time you can take money out of an IRA if you inherit one. And because used to you could kind of do a stretch, they called it, but now it's got to be paid out over 10 years max. And we can get into the fine details and stuff. But for some reason, I got up this morning and I was thinking I need to talk a little bit about long-term care. I want to do that first, and then we'll get into some of the housekeeping that we do on a weekly basis and stuff. But a couple of years back, they had this Pension Protection Act. See the train of thought there? I started thinking of tax codes, and it reminded me about the Pension Protection Act. I think that actually got filed back in 2010. But back then, Congress realized that they needed to give us incentives to take care of our own long-term care. There's Medicare and there's Medicaid, but let's face it, with the baby boomers, having 10,000 a day turn 65, that's not going to really probably cover it. So what they did with the Pension Protection Act of 2010, I believe, was that they did a lot of stuff. But the thing that was the most interesting to me is they said if you took money out of a annuity or out of a life insurance policy to pay for long-term care, it would be tax-free. Now, you had to have an annuity or a life insurance policy that had the post-Pension Protection Act language in it. So it wasn't just, oh, we've got one, let's take it out, we're tax-free. That wasn't the case. You had to have a new one that had this language in there. And there's a couple of companies that have jumped on that over the last 10 years. There's not very many, believe it or not, but there's a couple. And actually, I sat through a webinar the other day on one. And maybe that's another reason I woke up thinking about this. But here's the benefit to you if you are, I would say 45 or older. As far as starting to kind of think of that, our own mortality and all this kind of stuff. Because, the statistics are this. The statistics say only 3% of us are ever going to have to use our homeowner's insurance to replace our home because it's been destroyed. And there's only 18% of us being, people in Missouri or people in the U.S., that are going to have to use our auto policy to replace our car because it got totaled. And 73% of us are going to need some kind of care when we get older. Now, lately I've been running into a lot of people that kind of want to have that care take place in their homes as compared to having to go to a nursing home or a skilled nursing or something like that. So that's another reason I was thinking of it because, I just went through 3.5 years with my dad, and he's now out at the Missouri Veterans Home in Mount Vernon, and they're taking excellent care of him out there. But boy, we have some stories, and I'm not going to bore you with them right now and stuff, but here's the benefit. Let's say you had an old annuity, okay? And here's one I just worked on for a guy in Addison, Texas the other day. This gentleman was 72. He had a old annuity that had $250,000 in it. His cost basis was $100. So that what that means is he had $150,000 that was going to be taxable if either A, he cashed it out, and by the way, these are non-qualified, or B, he started taking income because you get taxed on the gains first, or C, he died and it passed to his beneficiaries, they'd get taxed on the 150 of gain. And so we looked at a post-Pension Protection Act annuity and found one that made a lot of sense for him. He was lucky and qualified for preferred, which means he got 3 times the value towards long-term care. So his 250, we did a 1035 exchange. That's a revenue code. It allows us to move it from one to the other with no tax consequence. We did a 1035 exchange, and now his 250, if he uses it for long-term care, is worth $750,000. And even better is if he takes it out of that new annuity and uses it for long-term care, that $150,000 is no longer taxable. So it's a neat win-win situation for that gentleman and other people that know about this and stuff. And now if he doesn't use it for long-term care, let's just say that annuity runs its course and 10 years from now he starts taking money out, but not for long-term care, it'll still act like a regular annuity. It's a non-qualified annuity, so there will be some tax consequences and stuff like that. But the key thing is using it for long-term care. And then the same holds true for insurance policies. There's a lot of insurance policies with this post-PPA language in it, and if people are aware of that, they can pull money out of those and have it be tax-free. So that's probably all you can handle on this subject, but I will tell you this, if you ever need some counseling or for someone to take a look at a policy or something like that, if you've got an advisor you work with, ask them about it, and if you don't, or that your advisor isn't familiar with this, because it is kind of a little niche in the market, give me a shout. My number's 417-755-0700, or you can always reach me at tony@thegoldaffiliate.com. And speaking of gold, it's time to get into some gold.
You're giving away gold, you say?
Oh, not quite giving it away, but boy, I tell you what, we're going to talk about some gold here in just a second. 57 degrees in Springfield.
That's gold?
Yeah, golden.
Golden.
Okay, I think we're doing lesson 10. Let's do the stewardship course and get that out of the way because, as I've said before, that's probably my favorite part of this show. And I know I get the most out of that probably is the stewardship course. Hopefully you'll agree and stuff. But lesson 10 is enlarging your territory. And it says, he is mentioned only once in a brief description in the Old Testament, yet what he says and what his life bespeaks could fill volumes. He was a man whom God saw as worthy of a request that had significant consequences for him and his family. His name was Jabez. Here is how the scripture describes him. Hey, Matt, am I pronouncing that right? J-A-B-E-Z.
Yeah.
Jabez. If I'm not, text us and let me know. But anyway, it says Jabez was more honorable than his brothers. His mother had named him Jabez, saying, I gave birth to him in pain. Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm so that I will be free from pain. And God granted his request. When you think of territory, you probably think of land or some area in which you have dominion. Jesus often spoke about giving responsibility based on what we do with the little things first. Jabez must have been a very responsible person. God describes him as an honorable. Jabez must have understood what it really means to be blessed by God. He was a man who knew what it meant to press into God and ask for God's favor with passion. God saw the heart of this man and gave him his request. His borders were enlarged. He lived a life free from pain. Imagine that. The only reason God will enlarge a person's territory is that he knows that a person will use it responsibly. He will steward what is given in light of God's kingdom. God truly wants to increase our territory to have greater influence in the world around us. That territory can mean personal influence and or physical territories. It is rare to have a life without pain. Pain is often necessary to mold us and shape us. This is the only exception I have seen in Scripture. Jabez must have been quite a man with incredible integrity and purity of heart. Are you this kind of person? Can God enlarge your territory and entrust you to use it for His purposes? Ask God today to enlarge your territory. Ask Him to make you the kind of man or woman who is worthy of such trust. And that is lesson 10. We got 2 more before this total course is over. And, that makes me think of a lot of things. I mean, I've been in sales most of my life. And, of course, usually in sales, you got a territory. And I've had territories that were, as many as 12 states. So I don't know if that was good or bad. That was a lot of ground to cover. The central time zone and stuff. But, I think that could be a metaphor for a lot of things as far as, taking care of your family, more children, more responsibility, being a good steward, all those kinds of things and stuff. So I think that's a powerful lesson. If you agree with us, let us know. And, continue to have faith in God. Last week we did the 12 steps of the COVID-19. And hopefully that was helpful to some. I mean, it's kind of a minute-by-minute thing for me. I mean, it's just real easy to get real comfortable. It's just like it used to be, and then bam, run to the store, and there's already too many people in the store. Or the people that are in the store, are just frantic and not that friendly and stuff. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things going on out there. And, speaking of people who probably need some attention or some acknowledgement, is let's do a shout out to all of the healthcare workers, because gosh, some of these people are working just incredible hours under incredible stress and risk, and I don't know if they're getting quite the respect or their due. So if you have someone in your world, let them know what you think of them and what a great job they're doing and so forth. Hopefully we don't, eliminate an entire generation of healthcare workers with this thing. But, we've got a president that wants to open things up, and I don't know if it's quite the right time, but, I'm not in Washington, so he's not listening to me. It seems to me, though, that we'd probably want to have at least a vaccine or some kind of a something that if somebody got it, they you could counter it and so forth. And it just seems like we don't want to rush into this because we don't want to get whipsawed. That's what happens sometimes in the market, is especially here lately. You can see it happening. I've always said buy low, sell high, and some people, they'll take and see the market go down, and they'll jump on it. They'll go in and they'll buy a bunch. And then it starts going up, and they're thinking, oh, this is great, and they'll buy some more, and then bam, it goes down even more. And that's what we call a whipsaw, so where they just kind of got lured in there, and then, they ended up with a huge loss, so to speak. So let's not have that happen to anybody. Let me wet my whistle there. Let's get into some prices. Matt still hasn't turned the clock around for me, so I have no idea what time it is. It could be Thursday for all I know. Oh!
It's Thursday Thursday somewhere.
It's Thursday somewhere. Oh, I don't know how that international dateline works, but
Internationally?
yeah, there. Thank you. We're on a roll here, folks.
I like
And we're playing here all week, so okay. As of 9:17 this morning, gold is up $22.10. It's now $1,710.30 an ounce to buy it. Silver's up 16 cents. It's up to $15.11 an ounce. And by the way, these first few are precious metals, so the prices I'm giving are per ounce. Platinum is up $5. It's up to $758 an ounce. Palladium is $2,042. It's up $44. And rhodium is flat for the day, but it's $7,500 to buy an ounce. I got to tell you, there's a huge spread there because the ask is $7,500 and the bid is $4,500, which for those of you that aren't familiar with that, what that means is you could go in and buy an ounce today at $7,500, and then when you wanted to sell out, you'd sell it for $4,500. So you want to be careful anytime you're dealing with wide spreads like that, and so forth. That just kind of tells you there's not a lot of trading going on. Now to the base metals, these are priced by the pound, and copper is $2.29, nickel is $5.40, aluminum is 66 cents, zinc is 85 cents, oh, let's call it 86, lead is 74 cents, and uranium is up another $2.50. So it's up to an even $32. Now, for those of you that watch the show week in, week out, and by the way, thank you for those that do, you know, it wasn't all that long ago, you know, in this year, in this calendar year, where uranium was still $23, $24, $25 a pound. And, you know, I follow some interesting people as far as the newsletters and the webinars and, you know, all these different ways to get information. And, you know, some of the guys I follow are pretty darn good as far as different niches. And I've got one guy in particular. He's out of Puerto Rico, and he has a great track record. And he's the one that's been kind of saying to, you know, pay attention to uranium. It might be a way to get in there. I was looking the other day to see if there was any uranium futures, and there are. They're not quite as available, I guess you might call it, as like, say, gold futures or silver futures or some of the metals out there and stuff. But if somebody was interested, you know, they could go in and participate a little bit that way. In the energy sector, we got crude oil, and as of 9/18, it's now $14.81 a barrel, which is up $3.24 for the day. Now, I got to tell you, I want to say it was Friday, tail end of last week, and then Monday. For those of you that were watching, a barrel of crude oil actually got to where it was below, zero. I've never seen that before. It's never happened before. You know, just evidence of what a crazy world we're in right now as far as a barrel of oil being actually less than zero. And of course, you know, it's obviously corrected and now it's $14.91, but even that is still incredibly low. If you've gone to the gas pumps lately, you know, I filled up last night and I think it was for, you know, somewhere just a little bit over $1 a gallon. So, you know, the irony there is that we've got the fuel at an all-time low for us, at least maybe in this generation, and there's no place really to go. And they don't want us to go anywhere. We're kind of under house arrest. So I just find that kind of interesting as far as that goes. Now, the market, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, is up as of 9:20 this morning. It's up 381 points to 23,400. And, you know, there's just a lot of stuff going on there. There's a new stimulus package that is working its way through the House and on the Hill there, and I think that's going to be another $400 and some billion for small business owners, and you know, they can go in and get some loans and so forth. So, you know, there's just a lot of action and activity out there in the market. And Matt's here. I'm going to see if he wants to do this a little early this week because he's got that look like he wants to go outside.
Oh, no. I don't need to go outside.
And I better just take
Quit
advantage of it
smoking
while he's
whenever-
here. Yeah.
I was...
A word from our sponsor.
Word from your sponsor. Word from our sponsor. Let me go ahead and zoom on out here. Well, I moved your gold standard deal there. Oh, I know what I can do. I don't know. I moved your little gold standard thing down to the corner so it would be beside you. So anyways, if you're enjoying this show or any other shows that we have and you'd like to see us expand, well, we can do that with your help. Until April 30th, there's a dollar for dollar match. So anything you give through April 30th, from now to April 30th, will be doubled. So you give $1 and someone else is going to give $1. It's going to be matched, dollar for dollar. And now it's a good time. And you can also see what's going on and where your money is going. We have veterans programs. We have autism awareness programs. And we're wanting to expand our programming on the actual media part. Now, the programs that I was talking about, the veterans programs and the autism awareness programs, we do some autism awareness events. Also, we have a kidney fund program for those that have a kidney transplant. We pick one person that needs it, and it helps to pay those co-pays of the anti-rejection medication. Now, we are a worldwide ministry, and we want to continue to grow. And we have a couple of other shows that are on deck and ready, almost ready, we hope, to go on out once all this COVID stuff is done and people aren't quarantining anymore. But we want to partner with you. Go online to axmediagroup.com. Let me find my little page here. Well, not my page, but axmediagroup.com. You don't have to put the / please donate. You can just go to axmediagroup.com. Scroll down. You can see the stuff that we're doing. You can see past shows. Also, you look to your right, and there's a donate button. We take debit card, credit card, and PayPal. So you can donate as little as $1 or as much as you want. There's no donation too small, no donation too big. But remember, from now until April 30th, it's a dollar for dollar match. So it's a good chance, a good opportunity to really get the most out of your giving. So we do appreciate you guys in advance because I know that the Lord's going to move some of your hearts to do that. So we look forward to partnering with you in the future. You can set up a one-time donation or you can do a monthly deal. So back to you there, Tony.
Thanks, Matt. That's all a worthy cause and so forth. Thank you, Matt. I was just sitting here looking at a few things. Let me see if I can do this. This morning I got to looking at something, and I kind of wanted to bring it up as far as information. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, over the last year, give or take, that, we've talked about a variety of different companies where we can get gold and silver. And, as the year goes on and we have different events that we're kind of living through, I'm kind of getting to where I have my favorites. And, I really, really, really like the National Gold Consultants that we've talked about up there in Minnesota. Ryan Long has turned out to be just a fantastic steward, counselor. I mean, this gentleman has done some incredible things for my clients. And I probably could spend the rest of the show talking about some of the neat things he's done, going above and beyond the call of duty to get some stuff done. But with 7K Metals, what I wanted to do is, one of the things I like about 7K Metals is, this is the one that's kind of like the Sam's card or the Costco. It's a membership program. You got a little bit of a membership fee to get in, but then once you're in, you can buy gold and silver at dealer direct costs. And that's important because I got to tell you, in this market, the premiums that some people are paying to get into gold and silver are ridiculous, especially if you're doing it with coins. I was watching something last night where they were talking about with some coins, there's people paying just astronomical premiums through other vendors. And, I just thought I'd bring this up. Now, the first thing I like about 7K is right there on their homepage. They've got a, in red, you can't miss it, important update. We are actively shipping all in-stock items. There is still a shortage of general gold and silver bullion in the marketplace, but keep checking 7K Selected and Dealer Direct so you don't miss the new stock dropping as we get it. And so, in other words, they're just coming out and saying it. I mean, you know, there's some vendors out there that are saying, oh, we got all the gold and silver in the world, you know, come on and make a purchase, and then they get your credit card, and, you know, they're not going to deliver for a long time. And, you know, I just don't think that's right. I mean, I do like the way 7K is doing it so that, you know, they're just telling you up front. Now, the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of go through the store because, you know, I've decided I want to add some gold to what we're doing. And let me get over here to products. So when I look at the store, like the first, they've got it by 3 per row. And like the first row, all 3 items are sold out. And that, now I will say all 3 of those were silver items. In the next row, 1 out of 3 are sold out. In the next row, 1 out of 3 is sold out. Same the next row. We get to that next row, 2 out of 3. My point is that there's just a lot of stuff that is sold out. And so if you do have a desire to get into some gold and silver, it might make sense to take action now before they just either get completely sold out or, you know, one of these other vendors is out there charging an incredible premium. There was one down here I kind of wanted to add or mention because I was just so impressed with it. And unfortunately, since I saw it this morning at 3 a.m., it now is sold out. But they had an American Gold Eagle 1-ounce coin. Now think about what that is. An American Gold Eagle 1-ounce coin. And we just talked about what was an ounce of gold going for, the spot price. And that was like $17.14, if I remember correctly. And this was going for $1,834. So you had just a little bit over $100 of premium, which for a product like this and an item like this in this market is phenomenal as far as the low amount of premium. But now it's sold out, so I can't get one of those. Oh, they do have American Gold Eagle half ounces, and those are going for $929.90. So once the show's over, I may buy one of those, or a couple of those. They do have quarter ounces, American Gold Eagle quarter ounces. Those are going for $4.88. And 20 peso Mexican gold coin sold out. 50 peso Mexican gold coin sold out. And here's the one I'm just heartbroken over because I'd seen this over the weekend. The American Gold Buffalo 1-ounce coin. And it was only going for $1,836, and no wonder it's sold out. So my point is that there's just a lot of stuff that is sold out. Ah! Doggone it. Now, here's one. This will blow you away. If you're tracking with me here, this will blow you away. Here is the LBMA approved 1-ounce gold bar. It's very much like, oh, and I don't think I have that one with me, doggone it. But for those of you that watch, you know, you've seen me hold up a credit card-like thing from the Perth Mint, and there's a gram of gold in it. Well, this is basically the same card, but it's an entire ounce, a 1-ounce gold bar. And they're sold out, but here's the price, $1,749. That's amazing. Spot right now is $17.10, so a $39 premium. Of course, I guess it's a moot point because it's sold out, but it gets back to why I've kind of been narrowing down this part of our business to 7K because, yes, it's a membership program, but I got to tell you, once you're in, just like Sam's, you can go there and load up on groceries at Sam's and other items and just save way more than you've ever paid in a membership fee. And it works here to also because I got to tell you, if you're not, the 1 gram gold bar is sold out. Doggone it. Oh, I'm just, well, maybe between now and when I get back to my office, some of these will come back in stock. I don't know. I mean, there's a few gold items there that aren't sold out. But anyway, my point is that you can go to this website. It's 7kmetals.com/Tony Hammock. That's TonyHammock. And right there after that little red warning, you know, as far as the availability of some things, you'll see the shop here, I think it is, and you can go in and kind of look at some of these yourself and stuff. If you want to, go ahead, and the shopping cart's fantastic. Choose what you want. Excuse me. And then when you check out, if you're not a member yet, it will show you the price that, you know, you're getting ready to buy for, and then if you become a member. And it well is worth it and stuff. But anyway, let's see what I brought along with me, because I did have a couple things that I wanted to focus on today, mainly the gold, because I mean, you know, if you've been tracking with me and following what I've been advising, you've been getting a lot of stuff like this, which is, here's a silver dollar from Australia. I got this about a month ago. This is the 2017 Australia Kangaroo First Release MS70, and the MS70 means mint state, and 70 is the highest grade, highest quality you can get. But of late, I've been thinking I want to round out my gold a little bit, because I have a hunch that there's going to be more and more demand for it. And in fact, there was one article this morning. Oh, hey, let me find that one. Let's see if I can share this with you quickly, because this was huge, I thought. Okay. Gold, no, let me see. First off, this is from Business Insider. Gold prices will nearly double to a record $3,000 an ounce as central banks fuel financial repression, Bank of America says. And it says gold will rally 80% over the next 18 months as central banks' stimulus and economic turmoil drives record interest, Bank of America forecast in a Monday note. Now keep in mind, you know, past performance is not indicative of a future performance. This is a forecast and a report from Bank of America. So it's not like guaranteed that's going to happen. But it is coming from somebody who does this day in, day out for a living and has probably done it for a long time. So, you know, there is some merit to paying attention. And monetary authorities are spending trillions of dollars to keep economies above water. The widespread spending will place incredible pressure on currencies. The bank's analyst said, in turn, pushing investors to gold and its scarcity. See? The scarcity thing, that's where we're going, is that, you know, there's just a lot of reasons why it's getting harder and harder to find. You know, the gold mint, the U.S. mint there at West Point closed down a week ago because of the COVID-19 scare. And just, I want to say Monday maybe, I saw an announcement that they're going to reopen. They've gone through, they've cleaned out, you know, just as clean as they can make it, and they're willing to let their employees come back in and, you know, keep the social distancing and stuff. But actually, their focus was a mint for the Gold Eagles. So, you know, that's going to be a good thing to hopefully provide us with a few more. There's still plenty of room for investors to pile into the metal, the bank added. Positioning has been surprisingly weak even after gold's late March rally, and a massive influx of capital will send prices soaring through the year. Watch gold trade live here. Central bank stimulus frenzy amid the coronavirus pandemic will drive gold to a lofty record by October of 2021, Bank of America projected in a note. The firm's analysts lifted their 18-month price target for the precious metal to $3,000 per ounce from $2,000 on Monday, praising gold as the ultimate store of value amid the severe economic downturn. After an initial sell-off and subsequent rebound, the safe haven asset sits near its highest level in 8 years. But Bank of America reckons potent easing policies around the world will send its value 50% higher than its all-time record. With an official recession looming, monetary authorities are poised to buy record amounts of financial assets and double the sizes of their balance sheets, the firm said. Now pay attention here. This is important. In March alone, G7 central banks. Now what G7 is, if you're not familiar with that term, that's the 7 largest countries, is the G7. Central banks bought up nearly 1.4 trillion of assets to calm roiled markets. The policies will place outside pressure on currencies and in turn drive massive interest in gold and its scarcity. And we could go on and on and on as far as some of the other parts to this article, but the main point there is that it's becoming more and more scarce. And remember, as we've gone through this show, we've talked about supply and demand. What happens if all of a sudden the scarcity, which is your supply, is getting smaller and smaller, and you've got an ever-increasing demand? It's going to drive the price of that item, in this case gold, up, isn't it? So you've got just some simple economics going on here, and I would urge you to consider, if you've already got 10%, 15% of your portfolio in gold, stay the course. You're in the right place, and if anything, you might think about adding to it, but that's kind of what we've been preaching now for a while. If you don't have any gold, you might think about adding some gold, just for some of the reasons we've talked about, which is, it's a great inflation hedge. It can balance the portfolio. It has an inverse relationship with the market. We can go on and on and on as some of the reasons that it makes sense. If we ever got to a situation where, the dollar was gone, and there's some people that think that could happen with us adding another, 6 trillion to the debt, you may need to have gold and silver to go out and get groceries for your family. I'm just saying, I don't want to be a Chicken Little and the sky is falling and all this kind of stuff, but I think a prudent person, especially if that person had a family, would want to think about that, just in case something did happen. You'd want to be able to provide for your family and stuff. So anyway, probably enough about that. Let's move on to some other areas here. I did have one thing that I wanted to, actually 2 more things in the remaining time. Let me see if I can get to it quick. Let's forget the pandemic. Let's forget some of this stuff that's on the front burner and stuff. Even before that, were you working harder for your money to cover the basics? And if you're like us, you were probably saying yes. It's not just you. Higher costs and added financial pressures on families today are causing fear, uncertainty, and doubt on a large scale. And of course, then you can think about what this pandemic's done, and how many people have filed for unemployment, and on and on. And it's even scarier. But as of May of 2017, 44% of the Americans said they could not cover a $400 emergency expense and would rely on credit cards, selling something, or borrowing the money if such an event arose. What's happening with your money? It's in the numbers. And I'm sure that number has changed. If you think about it, just in the last 8 weeks, I'm sure instead of 44% of the Americans, it's probably something more like, 80%. Just to pull a number out of the air. Part of this is the dollar has lost around 96% of its value since the Federal Reserve was created in 1913. Let's say your family had a trust in 1913 with $1 million in it, and it lost the same value and purchasing power as the chart above. And the chart shows 1913, a dollar was 100 cents all the way down to 2013, where it's only worth 5 cents. But you are the lucky person to get the money out today. How much would you be getting? The answer is between $40,000 and $50,000. And the answer is why? It's because of the increased money supply. Our Federal Reserve, our Treasury, is printing money faster than they can get pulp to print it on. So the more money that's out there, the less purchasing power those dollars that are out there have. So let's look at some price increases from 2000 to 2018. And then, like I said, extrapolate from there this current situation. But, food at home was at that point up 43%. If you've gone to the market lately, that's increased. Food out, 59%. And, there again, everything's curbside now. So not only do you have to call ahead, but you've either got to have one of the delivery services bring it, which is not free, and still probably at a tip in some cases and stuff. So that's gone up. Heat sources. Heat sources are up 99% in those years. Car insurance. Now, this is a little bit different because this was saying car insurance up 97%. Most of the major car insurance companies have lately been willing to concede, I think, 15% of your last couple of months' bills and stuff. So, that's a little bit lower just because of the concession due to nobody's really out driving as much as they used to. Water and sewers up 133. College tuition's 151. And that, too, will be one probably that'll be changing once we get an idea of when this will all be over. Because as you well know, especially if you've got college-age children, they're home and they're studying online in your house, just like ours are. So college tuition's one, and then last but not definitely least is medical care, and that's up 97% and rising and stuff. So, the thing is, do you mind if we show you a case for sound money? And all they're saying is that, sound money is a fancy term for gold and silver. Gold and silver is one of the secrets the wealthy have used for ages to amass and protect their wealth. In fact, governments and financial institutions know and use the secret. They are the largest holders of gold in the world today, and there's a reason why. And remember what I just told you about the G7 central banks buying over $1 trillion of gold here lately. But back in 1965, if you go back that far, if you don't, let me fill you in. Back in 65, $1 was the same as 1 ounce of silver. So you could pay for something with $1 or an ounce of silver. So if you were, trying to get an ounce or a gallon of milk, it would have been an ounce of silver or $1. Well, today, if you went to buy a gallon of milk and you had $1, how much would you get? You wouldn't get a gallon, would you? You'd get something much less. You wouldn't even get a half gallon. But if you had that ounce of silver still, and you went to buy some milk with it, you'd get 5.1 gallons. That's an increase of 410% in the buying power for silver. And then they got one for movie tickets, but you know what? Nobody's going to the movies anymore, so I'm not even going to get into that one. We're going to skip on ahead to my favorite one. This is my favorite one. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because it's a car, and I'm a car guy. I love cars. But, back in 1965, the Ford Mustang was introduced by Lee Iacocca. He was saving Ford with this revolutionary new vehicle, the original pony car. And back then, you could get one for right around $2,500. And so you could have paid $2,500, $1 bills, or you could have paid 2,500 ounces of silver, and you would have had a brand new 1965 Mustang. Fast forward to now, and if you went into a Ford dealership and went to buy a Mustang, and you handed over 2,500 $1 bills, what would happen? I can guarantee you're probably not driving that car out of the lot. In fact, you may not be able to get much of that car for $2,500. Maybe a couple of the wheels and tires. But now, on the other hand, if you had 2,500 ounces of silver, you would have enough to probably buy 2 of those. Now, let me just see if I can do a quick calculation with what we found out earlier. Yeah, that'd be about $39,000, which, you might be able to get 2 of them if you went for the 6-cylinder versions and not, all the extras. If you wanted one that was fully loaded, you'd be getting 1. That's a choice there and stuff. But still, you can see the point as far as silver versus the dollar. Now, let's talk about gold for a minute. 1965, if you had $10,000, which would have been a lot of money in 1965, and you went to buy a house, you would have probably bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch house. like a lot of houses here in Springfield. And, you know, probably would have had a nice home if you took care of it for all these years. And right now, if you were trying to decide if you wanted to sell it, as far as 2019 values, excuse me, it'd be worth almost $86,000. This is according to the Board of Realtors. So, $10,000 house, all those years, what is that? 44 years. Let me see, 35. Actually, 45 years. 44, excuse me. You would have 8 times your money, and it'd be worth about $86,000. Now, on the other hand, let's look at 1965 and the price of gold back then. Back then, gold was $35.50 an ounce, and you would have been able to buy 281 ounces with your $10,000. And if you were wanting to see how much they were worth today, on my slide here, it shows $421,781. But let's do this. We know that gold's going for, let's say 1720 times 281. As of today's market, it would be closer to $483,000. So you can see the difference, real estate versus gold, and that was based on the spot rate, August 7th, 2009, Bureau of Labor Statistics, as far as the 421,781. As of today's price, it's the 483,320. So now do you get a feel for why I keep talking about let's get some alternative assets in your portfolio? The gold and the silver, they keep pace with inflation. And after seeing those stats, does your financial future seem more challenging? You know, why aren't financial professionals, a lot of them, not telling you about this? The truth is they don't want you to know. They want you to think it's not important to know the secret of sound money. And, you know, there's probably a whole show we can do on why that is. But the gold and the silver has a place. And there's 3 ways you can buy gold and silver. You can buy the bullion, which is usually what I'm talking about, is the actual bullion, you know, so you can have it in your possession or in your safe in your home. You can buy the ETFs, which is basically having a certificate, let's say, to the gold and silver. And then, of course, you can buy the futures. And neither one of those last 2 would really, help you that much if you had an extreme emergency and so forth. As Ryan Long likes to say, if you were taking your family on a cruise and you noticed that as you were boarding the vessel, it was called the Titanic, and the boarding crew was putting at the top where you were getting on with your kids and stuff, they were giving you a life preserver that was going around your neck, that would be very much like having bullion, because you have it. Now, at the top of the deck, or the top of the boarding ramp, if you got there and you had an ETF or a future, it'd be like they would hand you a piece of paper and say, here's your certificate for an ounce of gold, sir. And then you've got to remember how the Titanic ended up. When it hit that iceberg and you had your certificate, how likely was it that you were going to get your life preserver if you went to find the captain and then try to cash that in, or someone on the crew? They kind of had their hands full. But anyway, enough about that. 7Ks out of Idaho. They were started by 4 founders. One of them is a gentleman that has a company that's over $2 billion today. Very successful, very Christian folks that have started this company. And they basically are trying to give the everyday person like you and I a chance to participate in gold and silver at dealer direct pricing, which I think is important. Now, here's some of the questions you should be asking. If you're sitting there thinking about it and you don't already have some, is where should I buy it? Who should I trust? What should I buy? How do I buy in small quantities? And how do I get more of it? And basically, that's what the membership was created for, is it solves many of these problems. As far as the main member benefit, if you look at how gold and silver is distributed, it goes from the mine to the mint. And by the way, that's the price you see when it's the spot price, is that's what the mine is charging the mint. Nobody like us gets that price. And then usually there's about 5 or 6 stops in between there and you and I. You know, there's the dealer, and then there's the wholesaler, and then there's the retailer. And with this particular program, you bypass all of those and you get dealer direct pricing, which is fantastic. There's no minimums, there's no maximums. You know, basically it gives you a chance to participate and not have a lot of your money going to support some of those folks in the distribution channel. It also has a buyer certification, and I tell you, I've gone through this. It's probably about a 45-minute course, depending on how fast you go, but it will show you and teach you, you know, basically how the wealthy have always used sound money for their gain, the key factors to protect your personal finances in any economy, what's the value of the MS-70 and coin collecting, and why is it potentially more valuable than bullion, and why governments and large institutions are the biggest buyers of gold and silver. And then, you know, your reasons why this all makes sense. We've talked about it being a hedge against poor government decisions and potential economic collapse. And then, of course, wealth accumulation, wealth protection, portfolio diversification, and if you really get into it, the coin collecting. And I know I'm running out of time, so real quick, let's just say this. Let's not do the $1.2 million mistake. Matt knows about the $1.2 million mistake, and he's not going to do it.
No.
And basically, that's if you look at these Silver Eagles, the Silver Eagles were started back in 1986. And if you had jumped on board and been adding a Silver Eagle MS-70 every month since '86 to your portfolio, you'd have a little bit over 400 right now, which have cost you probably 40 to 50,000. And if you totaled those up as far as their value, it'd be over 1.2 million. And you know, part of that is we just never know which ones are going to do the most as far as appreciation. So why not add all of them from every year? For example, the 1999 ones are going for over $19,000 a piece. The 96s are going for over $6,000. And obviously some of the more recent years are, you know, closer to 100 or 150. Anyway, that's probably enough about, you know, some of the background there. I know we're close to our time. How much time we got?
But it's about ready to wrap it up.
That's Matt saying we're about ready to wrap it up. And when Matt speaks, we pay attention.
Some of us are too broke to pay attention.
Well, anyway, hopefully something we covered today has been of value. You know, send your cards and letters. Let Matt know. Let Jason know. I do want to take a moment just real quick to say thank you to Dr. Paul Collins and Jim and Pam Whining for making this possible. And may the rest of your week have a silver lining. See ya.
May the rest of your week have a silver lining. Is that what you said?
Yeah. You see what I did there?
Yeah. Or a gold lining.
Or your years be golden.
May your years be golden. All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And thank you, Tony, for doing what you do. We're glad to have you, and we'll be glad to see you again next week. Same time, same channel, talking more about gold. Who doesn't love gold? That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Matt.
You guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.